Yeah, that's a technical. Yeah, I can see how disrespectful he's being right there. I'm glad they're going to nip that in the bud. So every fast break, there should be multiple technicals.
See, now you made a good point, and then you go one step too far.
Before I get into the news in regards to inside the NBA and the NBA broadcasting deal itself, I want to start off right here with this report that I saw with Jeff Van Gundy. And with these reports, sometimes it could be misleading, or maybe there's context missing from whatever sources they got it from. But this seems like it could be something true. And this was really the first blow, in my opinion, to the NBA when it came to losing faces and voices that a lot of people appreciated more. Simply put, whether you agreed or disagreed with what Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy said, I think I speak for most people when I say that they appreciated how objective they were and how they were not afraid to say things that may go against the quote-unquote NBA brand, especially in comparison to other commentators that I would hear calling games. Now, because the NBA works hand in hand with the media that platforms their product, of course they'll go to ESPN and say, hey, Jeff Van Gundy, he was one of ours, head coach in the league, he's working for you now, but we don't like the way he's commentating on the game, got to tell him to chill. I think as fans, we look for two things. We want to watch great players, and we also want to hear great commentating and unbiased as much as possible. So on the side of wanting to watch your favorite players play, the NBA, of course, enforces the 65-game rule so that guys are not sitting out as much. However, on the commentating side, this is where they may be backsliding a bit with fans. As of today, which is May the 22nd, I'm seeing reports that inside the NBA will have their last season for the 2024-2025 one, because that is when the NBA broadcasting deal ends. For those who may not be fully aware of what's going on, or if you do, I'm going to provide some more detail that may give more insight as to what's happening. So currently, right now, the NBA is on a 9-year deal, according to Forbes, that gives them $2.7 billion annually. And as I said, it expires for the 2024-25 season. And in this current deal, the two entities that own the rights to NBA games would be Walt Disney, which obviously owns ESPN, and Warner Bros., which owns TNT. As we've seen often reported, Walt Disney has reached a new agreement with the NBA, and so has Amazon, first time ever online streaming services, and I'll get into that in a bit, which left a third spot open. And NBC, which is owned by Comcast, has offered $2.5 billion for the rights to NBA games, which is a lot more than the $1.2 billion that Warner Bros. Was initially paying to the NBA. Let's really think about this for a second. The NBA under the old deal was making $2.7 billion annually. NBC has offered $2.5. They are almost offering what the NBA was making in total for a whole year, and that's just one entity by itself. And if that wasn't enough, in 2022, there's a quote where the CEO of Warner Bros. Was saying that we don't need the NBA. I've also read elsewhere, and don't quote me on this because I'm not even too sure myself how accurate all this is, but there's been rumblings that Warner Bros. Could match the offer of NBC, kind of like a free agent, a restricted free agent in the NBA, where he could sign with another team, but his old team matches the offer that he got, and then they retain that player back.
But linear television still has a hammer.
Yeah.
How long will it remain that way?
It was a great show that you want to watch on Netflix, or Hulu, whatever else. You're going to, not to take anything away from it, but you're going to watch it when you're going to watch it, or you're going to binge watch it, or you're on a plane and, watch a bunch of hours at once. I think what live sports are continuing to separate themselves from everything else. To your point, what linear television can still do.
A couple of things came to mind as I watched this. Number one, it's clear as day that Adam Silver still values cable television. And since that is the case, I can't imagine in any way, shape, or form that he and the NBA is happy that inside the NBA, one of the most popular segments that fans love, is now in jeopardy because another company has offered a lot more money. But do they have the actual value and the talent that could resonate with the fan base like Inside the NBA does? That is the billion-dollar question to me. And unless some of this talent, like a Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny, or Ernie, is coming back together in portions or some sort of resemblance of what we know, the viewership is going to take a hit. Then all of this money that NBC is paying, it's not going to be worth as much anymore if they still can't get the viewership that TNT was getting, plus paying a lot more than TNT was paying in the first place. To add on to what I'm saying, initially when I saw that Amazon was getting the streaming rights to the NBA on top of Warner Bros. Losing out to NBC, I thought to myself, okay, maybe Adam Silver and the NBA are looking at it from the standpoint that inside the NBA itself, is an older show, an older generation. It first aired in the 1989-1990 season. Maybe he's trying to switch and gain a younger audience, which is usually on streaming services. But after watching these segments of this clip, the clips that I was showing you with Pat McAfee, I started scratching my head a little bit. Clearly, you still value cable television, but if that's the case, you're losing a lot of your talent that's on television when people turn on their TVs to watch. From the inside the NBA, a Mark Jackson, a Jeff Van Gundy. Nonetheless, we're going to see how this all plays out. Maybe Warner Bros. Puts up an offer and they get some type of deal worked out. Who knows? Or some of those guys who were originally on the show, they go to other shows on NBC or ESPN. I don't know what's going to happen. Y'all let me know what you think of the video, what's going on with the NBA, the media, and as always, salute for watching. Peace.